Well, that was one hell of a way for the NHL playoffs to get rounded up tonight, man. I'm sure hockey fans all over the internet are going to be absolutely level-headed and reasonable following the circumstances we just witnessed take place in front of our very eyes. If you don't know, let me break it down for you. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you know, but there were two games on tonight, which ultimately decided who was going to get the final wild card spot in the NHL playoffs. It was Washington and Philadelphia and Detroit against Montreal. Now, Detroit, to make the playoffs, they would have to win and Washington would have to lose. And, well, for tonight, it'd be as simple as that, right? Unfortunately for Detroit, the Flyers, who were playing Washington, needed to win in regulation in order to have a prayer of making the playoffs. So, in real time, I was watching both games on two separate screens. 7 seconds to go. Detroit claws their way back. It's a 1-goal game. It looks over. Detroit's getting a face-off in the Montreal zone. They win the face-off, and they get the Hail Mary shot from the point and tie the game. But just seconds later, down south a few hours in Philadelphia, Philadelphia pulls the goalie because they have to win in regulation, and instantly TJ Oshie comes in and buries it, ultimately sealing the fate for the Flyers and the Detroit Red Wings, who ultimately won in a shootout. And, you know, after that game, I was just kind of sitting there watching the end of the Detroit-Montreal game as the end of the Washington and Philly game happened, and you could just hear it in the Detroit commentator's voice. They couldn't believe their season came to an end that way. The guy just kept repeating, and Washington wins on an empty net goal. That's how it happens. And then Detroit wins in the shootout. Patrick Kane, beautiful shot. They don't even celebrate. You'd think that they just lost. I mean, it was hard to watch, and I'm sure for hockey fans, a lot of them are going to feel like the wrong team got in. Now, I don't feel that way. Personally, I wanted Washington to win. I didn't want it to happen that way. That is a tough way for it to happen, because I know the argument could be made, well, every team has had 81 opportunities to win, but every team hasn't gotten the opportunity where the other team is pulling the goalie in a tie game in desperation to end the season. So Washington did get a favorable chance there, but I also feel like they are the team out of the four teams that were battling that's probably going to be the most capable of possibly beating the Rangers. Not saying that they will. My bracket, I'm going to be doing that live either Thursday night or Friday morning. We'll see what happens. Probably Thursday night because I'm leaving for vacation Friday morning. But either way, I'll make sure I get it out. But yeah, that was just an insane ending, man. I'm not sure I've ever seen anything like that take place. And just to see it happen seconds from each other. I was watching the game. I thought Detroit was dead in the water. And they get for the second night in a row against Montreal, because they were down 4-1 last night. They crawl their way back. Raymond gets a late tying goal. And then they do it again tonight on even a more chaotic break. I mean, it is Montreal, man. It is Montreal. And obviously in that shootout, Montreal gave a real half-hearted effort there. So both teams kind of did. So, I mean, that was a real sad shootout to watch, man. I turned up the volume just to see what the Detroit broadcast would have to say. And it was sad. It was real hard to listen to. He couldn't believe it. On the Washington side of things, man, you get Alex Ovechkin back in the playoffs, and I know he's aging. He's not the same player, but there might not be too many more Alex Ovechkin in the playoff moments we're going to get to see. So we should enjoy him while we got him, right? and this could be the last time. And he's my favorite player of all time. Just gonna say it right now. I've said it in other videos, but Alex Ovechkin is my favorite hockey player of all time. Not on my favorite teams, of course, but I love Ovi, man. I'm glad to see him back in the playoffs. I still think the right team got in. Pittsburgh would have been entertaining. I think you could make an argument for them. Detroit, man, I feel bad for the fan base. I'm sure they're going to have a very reasonable reaction to the way that things took place tonight. But you know what? I always say sports are a microcosm of life. And you know what? Life ain't going to be fucking fair all the time. Sometimes people just ain't going to like you. All right? Sometimes jobs are just going to fire you. Sometimes people just don't want you in their circle. All sorts of bullshit. And that's sports too, man. Sometimes shit just happens. And then that's what happened tonight. So, unfortunate for Detroit, man. I'm sure if they could fill some pieces in there, they'll be back next year. But that's it. I just wanted to talk about that hectic ending to the NHL season. I'll see you Thursday or Friday. Peace out, motherfuckers.